Alright guys, here we're going to talk about and review the classic Once Bitten. So this movie is one that I remember watching as a kid like a bunch. It was on like the TV shows. It was on the channels like 9 or 11, something like that.
Yeah, this is a cable classic.
Yeah, that I'd be like, okay, I like that. I thought I remembered it a lot.
Turns out you don't,
right? I remembered nothing. I mixed it with some other vampire, like oh, I turned to a thing where the kid would go to like the butcher shop to get. He's like, oh, I want some meat and some chicken, quart of pig blood, and oh, some yoo-hoo. Put back the yoo-hoo and the meat. I don't need the chicken. Okay, that'll be it. So you just want blood?
What else? I'd like a quart of pig's blood. What was that last one?
She sucked your what?
She sucked your what? Finger. My finger.
Like that was a.
Oh, what is that?
I can't remember.
Let's watch that movie.
The license plate said Nightman.
What does that license plate mean?
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I own it. I'll look.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Cancel this review. Let's watch that. Okay.
I thought this one's.
I thought that I remembered it too. I mentioned like a handful of things. I think I said something like, he's got to go back to the place and like fight him though, or something weird like that. I forgot, but I almost said like, I think they save the day by screwing. Is that another one of those 80s movies where they win by screwing or
that became
like,
more and more like just telegraphed, I guess.
Yes, of course.
Whether I don't know if I actually remembered it or if I just predicted that.
Yes.
So the movie's about young Jim Carrey, very young Jim Carrey. This is probably his first big hit,
big feature, whatever.
Yeah.
So he sounds mad Canadian. Sorry, like he's all over the place. He's way super Canadian in this movie. I love that walk down memory lane or whatever.
Take a hike. We're closed for renovations.
I also wondered if the suburban stuff was filmed in Canada.
Oh,
because
no.
something about that painting. There's like a big outdoor foresty painting on the side of the high school they go to.
So, you and Mark broke up for good this time? I don't believe it.
And I was like, doesn't look like it's anywhere in Los Angeles.
That's one of my favorite shots of the whole movie.
Is it?
Because they frame the shot like
it's a matte painting shot, and then
like as if they're supposed to be down by the lake or at camp or something, but like they're not. But you know that. But it goes on for so long that you think you're supposed to be there, and then it just cuts to the wide shot, and it's like a thing on the wall, and they walk away, like away. Something about that.
I called you 10 times last night. Why didn't you talk?
There's nothing to talk about.
Really spoke to me. Would you recommend Once Bitten?
I think this is worth watching in that there are some ridiculous things that are not common any longer. Like it's a time capsule style movie.
I agree with that.
Don't think it's a very good movie.
I agree.
I will go on record saying it's not good. It's like a C+, hard B-,
Gotcha.
kind of movie.
Okay. I agree. I was gonna say, like, we usually try to frame it up like, should you watch this movie?
Yeah.
And I would say yes, but it isn't like good. And like, thinking about your memories of it and then watching it now, I'm like, I don't think it like holds up.
No, it was better then. But here would be the pitch. Would be like okay, give me a good movie to watch. I would not give you this. But if I was like, it was like, oh no, like there's a movie Jim Carrey, he gets bit by a vampire, he becomes a vampire, weird like stuff. His girlfriend won't screw him. He has to go on this thing. There's some crazy stuff. His friends are idiots.
Like, did you know Jim Carrey was in a movie where he was a vampire and a female vampire and his girlfriend like dance fight over him? And they'd be like, what? And I go like, check it out. Not like, oh, hey, it's not, right? And like,
that's the best scene, like, almost in the movie.
So I Googled this real quick just to be like, this is pre-Lost Boys. This is pre a lot of stuff. I think one of the many reasons why this doesn't hold up and kind of falls apart is that we as a human race have figured out vampires a lot by now. We've zeroed in on like what their powers should be. So but I can see you in a mirror. Vampires made that shit up to throw you guys off. Like everyone settled on a like consistent, relatively consistent, and then it was like, oh, but it's really a virus, but it's kind of the same. And then True Blood was like, well, it's magic kind of still. And like we kind of went back and forth, but it was all very tightly around like, this is how you kill them, this is what they can do, this is what they can't do. they don't need horny virgin energy to like stay alive or
Yeah.
young or whatever, right? All these weird, and this was sort of in a time when it was less. It's like an old PlayStation 1 game where you're like, what button does what? Like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah, it
because
wasn't standardized.
Yeah, because later on we all figured out, no. This stick should do this. This button should do that. This makes sense. Grenades over here, whatever, right? Same thing here. It's all over the place to me, but I'm like, oh, they didn't know like what to do
Yeah.
yet. They were freestyling it and doing it
Well, and
themselves.
it is very much a comedy.
Yes.
An 80s comedy at that. So like that's its own flavor.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of ridiculous things that are worth watching in this.
Yeah.
But dumb things too.
You want to go through it in order, or you want to jump around?
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
Let's go in order.
It opens with a nightmarishly long shot of the sheriff from Blazing Saddles playing like a gay vampire wearing like riding pants and boots or whatever.
Junipers.
Walking around the whole house doing his whole thing. And I'm not calling him like a gay. He later says, I came out of the closet 300 years ago, honey.
Yes.
Like that's his character. And I think he's like once I realized it was him, I'm like, oh, you're like an actor. What's he up to? He's been dead for a long time. Oh no.
Oh, has he?
He died at like 52. It's probably
Oh, wow.
tragic. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know what happened to him beyond that. But
I knew
was
I had not seen him in a long
Yeah,
time.
I was like, it's Cleavon, whoever, or whatever his name is. Yeah, so I was like, oh hell yeah. But the scene is so long, and it's
Yeah.
him going through the whole house, and it's like blaring this music, and I'm like, oh no, this is not what I remembered at all. This was a movie that like,
Yeah.
you could miss several commercial breaks and be like, oh, it's Jim Carrey, eh? It's fine, right? Like,
I think that moment for me was when they were showing off like her like concubines or whatever you want to call them. Through the ages, these are the ones she has turned.
Her, like, coven, and it's like-
oh, they're all in their same outfits with their
Yeah,
custom
it's
coffins to match their flavor.
the like Confederate guy has a coffin with the old South
Yeah.
flag or
Sunrise in an hour. I suggest that you all get an early day.
something.
And he's still wearing the
his
bullets and the hat and the
stupid
little thing, like
oh, man.
all that stuff. I was like, oh, all right, this is a different movie than I
This is
remember.
where we are. Yeah, I forgot about
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah. But he goes upstairs and he's like, hello, good morning. And she gets up and he's like giving her blood. And this is where, this is like a 1-2 punch of like a long scene with like no movie in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't like an artsy MOS shot of him doing house stuff where
No.
you begin to get clues. It's just a boring ass, like it's like
Yeah.
3 minutes long. It's horrible.
No, it is long.
Then it culminates in like, hello, please get out of your coffin and deliver 5 minutes of exposition. She says like, well, that's easy for you to say. You're not the one that has only until Halloween to suck the blood 3 times from a virgin. And she lays out like the exact
Yeah.
plot of the movie.
They paint this as the most difficult thing ever, and I'm
I
like,
know.
it seems like that would be easy. I think I could do that like tomorrow. Like,
well, so that's the joke, and that's my like final nail.
and he's the only one. Like all
Yeah.
of her fucking servants like see him.
yeah. Well, he's so obviously a virgin.
Did they do that over at the shopping mall?
No.
And like part of that's the joke, I guess, but they do such a poor job where she's like, I need a virgin. It's so hard to find a virgin. They could do something of like a virgin who's a certain age maybe, but like why? Because they're like, well, we
Yeah,
found.
I need a version at manhood, or
Yeah,
like,
and-
at least to
and-
make it.
and
but
it's
she
like-
she grabs girls too. So
Well, and it's
Doesn't
like
matter.
oh well, we found this 11-year-old, and she's like, don't be disgusting.
The closest we've come so far is an 11-year-old.
Don't be disgusting.
No more excuses.
And I'm like, what about a 15, 16-year-old? Is it really that hard to find any virgins ever? Like, that's the joke. It's the 80s. Everyone's having sex at the age of 10, I guess.
And at what
But, like,
point,
what are we doing
like,
here?
they seemingly can just know, right?
Yeah.
So like,
They smell it on you.
Couldn't they go into like any high school or college and be like, it's that guy, and just
Yeah.
like, is it literally impossible?
Well, they make it seem like it's hard to find because no one's a virgin anymore.
Yes.
Because it's the 80s, and that's how it
Sure,
works
sure,
now.
sure.
But again, like...
No, but there's always one.
Well,
like
and-
finds an ugly guy. Like, what do you-
Yeah, there's plenty of virgins,
Yeah.
I believe. There's even people who are doing that by choice or going into like the
Sure.
priesthood or some bull. So like the whole premise is kind of weak
Yeah,
from
grab
that
a
angle.
priest of any age,
There
right?
might be a rule that you can't do that, but that's the whole point. Like devote 30 seconds of the 17 minutes of just dumping facts and stupid crap on me to this, because the whole time I'm like, yeah, why don't they just go easily find a virgin that'll like
Yeah.
fit the bill? Because like they frame it up like we're gonna go to Hollywood where everything is like debaucherous and like crazy, and that's where the Countess goes clubbing to search for virgins. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why doesn't the Countess just drive upstate and just grab Jim Carrey there?
Well,
where all the
didn't
virgins
one
would
of them
be?
say like maybe we could go to Ohio or something like at some point? And I'm like, yeah, why do you live in this area?
Are you suggesting we invade suburbia? Bowling alleys? RVs, chicken McNuggets.
Because like that's where they
Oh,
have
at the
crazy
end.
awesome castles, and I'm like,
Yeah, well, and
her house is ridiculous.
and she's like, how am I supposed to find a virgin? And he's like, don't worry, we can still go to Peoria and Ohio and all that. Yeah, he's like telling her like, we'll just go where there would be virgins. And I'm like, that's plan A, motherfucker, you need a virgin.
Yeah.
Let's go.
There are other virgins out there. Somewhere in places like Kansas, Nebraska.
And they don't really explain, so like if she doesn't feast by then, she like gets old again.
Yeah.
And can she get young again, or is now she just trying to preserve this age
I don't
and not get
know.
even older?
And he says, I need a plastic surgeon. I need a virgin. Hurry, help. And he's like, don't worry, Countess. We'll take care of you. It's fine or whatever.
Somebody get a plastic surgeon. Quick. I need a virgin. I need a virgin. Now.
Yeah.
But all the other vampires recoil like this is on them and something bad's going to happen because of
Well,
her
that's
hollow
what
threat at the
you
beginning.
You'd think that like if she gets older, it must be a curse that affects the one
Yeah.
she's turned.
Why does not it-
Because if
it-
they
it-
don't get older, why is
would
the
they
most
even help
powerful
her?
one worse? You know?
Exactly. Plus, and
Well, she's under their spell, like too. I imagine.
we're jumping around a lot, but because we won't have a chance to mention this later.
Sure.
They go to Jim Carrey's girlfriend goes to the library where she meets a horrible, weird, fake Indian guy. I think that's what he's trying to do.
You know, it is most unfortunate, the shocking reputation that vampires are having these days.
And like he explains the whole vampire thing to her like really, really quickly, and then you find out it's only like female vampires need the horny virgin energy.
You see, the female vampire needs the blood of a virgin, and an 18-year-old boy would hardly be a virgin now, would he?
Well, just hypothetically, what if he was a virgin?
So I guess Sebastian and all the male vampires are just fine doing whatever they want, but for some reason female vampires have this weird turning into a pumpkin clause in their contract.
I assume they have some other problem, or they need
I would hope.
females or something.
Something, right? It's crazy.
Jocks.
So I don't know why this is such a thing. Also, just chain Jim Carrey up in the basement until you're done feeding from him.
I don't get why you'd ever let him leave.
Yeah.
Like that just seems crazy to me.
Because we have to have a movie.
The girlfriend, when she learns it, she goes, "No, you're not a vampire. She didn't actually turn you. She didn't sleep with you. She just blah blah." I'm like, "But she did turn him."
Mark, you're still a virgin. She never made love to you. She just took your blood from, you know.
Yeah.
You're happy she didn't sleep with him, but she did bite him. He is a vampire now.
I feel like that's meant to be a joke where she's like, "Oh no, like you're still a virgin. Don't worry, everything's fine. She only bit you and sucked your blood and started turning you into a vampire." And that's the whole thing too. Is like he's showing signs of turning into a vampire.
Yeah.
But they're acting like he's not really a vampire until that third suck.
Yes.
Right? And I'm like, does borking in the coffin undo the first two sucks? How does this
still
work?
3/4 of a vampire?
Yeah, what are you...
Will sometimes he have no reflection?
What's the math here? Or does he still want a raw hamburger?
Yeah.
And they're just like, okay.
Right. I did love him popping up like, "You couldn't have. It hasn't been long enough."
You couldn't have. You've been in there less than a minute.
You
could have.
No, it's amazing. Yes. But even that, they had to like intentionally say, "Why does he get such a big coffin?" And he's like, "It's the 80s. People need room to maneuver." And you're like, "What are you? Okay, so now it's going to be burned into my head for the next 47 minutes as I wait for this giant coffin to pay off."
These are the 1980s, not the age of innocence. Young man needs plenty of room.
In the most obvious way possible.
But honestly, even in a regular coffin.
Yeah.
They could have fit in there.
You can get it done.
Yeah. You can get it done.
It's life or death.
Yeah.
Or just don't mention it at all, and everyone goes, "Why is the coffin so big?" on like Reddit of 1985. Like, who cares?
The bathroom walls of 1985.
My favorite scene, probably in the entire movie, is when it's like right in the beginning, right? We do all that crap that we just talked about, the Countess. We go down there. Oh, we gotta go get virgins. All right, smash cut to Jim Carrey, hapless fuck that he is, in his ice cream truck.
Find me a virgin.
I want to. I really do.
Robin, please.
At the drive-in.
And everyone's
he's like,
around him.
He's like, "Come on, baby, come on, whatever." And then like, yes, he gets out of the car, it like pulls out like Back to the Future, and every car is shaking. You see bare asses and legs popping up, and in the back of the whole scene, there's an oil derrick, like
yes,
going up and down. It's like it's the most like
there's
whatever.
one person, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl's legs, but their legs are completely out, facing the other direction, and I'm like, what are we even to believe is happening there?
Yes.
Like their privates would be like in the door handle, like completely.
Like what strange 80s sex maneuver is this meant to be? Yes,
it's
exactly.
an insane thing. But and even just the like the gall of the Jim Carrey character, like, oh, I just can't do it in the car. Oh, gets out of the car, and then just walks away, and I'm like, you just left her in the car.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
No, like the whole relationship with them is so strange and like weirdly unrealistic.
Well, because like, is it even a relationship? Because
No.
he immediately I'm like, okay, she wants it to be special, in quotes, doesn't want to do it in a car. Get a hotel room. What are you doing?
You can't just get a hotel room at the age of 18.
One of the kids later on, they say, do you have money on you for a hotel room? And he says, yes. Do you have protection? He pulls out a glove. Like,
expecting to invite 4 friends?
Yeah. So he does have, like, that is a thing
so they're allowed
that people
to do
can do.
I just made up my answer, obviously. Yeah.
And, like, they have houses. At some points, people are out.
Are you suggesting that going to Hollywood and getting lured in by the Countess was not the best way to solve his problem?
I think it's very strange for like a guy who's in a, in quotes, committed relationship to go to a like telephone bar, which I'm like, that's cool.
Real quick, before the age of cell phones and Tinder and whatever else, right? They go to a bar where every table has a phone on it and like a number. So you can just dial 35 and go hello, and then 35's phone rings.
That's actually cool.
That's dope as fuck. Yeah, I love that.
Not have to like walk over there and blah, blah, like, hey, are you even interested in blah blah? Yes, I am. Yes. Like, and like it's like a singles bar.
Yeah.
So like everyone's interested in someone.
And we set up this running joke. Hi, I'm a Russ. I'm a Sagittarius, and I enjoy whatever.
I'm Russ, and I'm a Sagittarius. I enjoy surfing, candlelit dinners, and Tolstoy.
And that happens 3 times.
You're mature. I'm mature.
Why don't we just do what we both know we want to do? And we set up this thing. He ends up with I guess at the time they would have said tranny or whatever, because it's just a dude in a wig. It isn't someone like doing a lot of effort or whatever.
Are you a guy? Does it matter?
Who then calls him a sissy for like leaving? It's very. I'm like, oh, this is 1985, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, then he ends up with 2 older women at that same night with the same line, I believe.
Well, they go to the laundromat, you mean?
No, at the same one, and then the guy pulls out a gun.
We have the disgruntled husband, where I think that's part of their like sex game.
Write anything, and
It's a big
we just
mistake
talk about
on
this,
your
I think we'll
part.
be just fine.
He's got a gun! He's got a gun! Oh my God!
Where she goes to the singles bar and he comes in, guns blazing.
He came in with pictures of her though. Like, you're the one that took pictures of my wife.
We just heard this was a swinging place. That's all. I mean,
that kid, a degenerate kid, pornographer.
If that's part of their long shtick, that's very strange. Especially firing the gun.
Because when they get pulled, as they're getting dragged away, she's like, oh baby, or whatever else. I'm like, yep, this is all part of their sick, twisted sex game.
What did the 2 teens even get arrested for?
Being in a bar where there was a gun.
see, I told you we'd get lucky.
Seemingly.
I don't know, but this sets up.
I was like, this was all for that one joke of a cop grabbing his penis. It was for that joke.
Is that a new chokehold?
Is that a new kind of chokehold?
I told you we get lucky. It's so like, it's so bad. Like
those 2 kids, I was like, a combination of how pale they are and how much red, like rosy makeup they put on them or whatever. They look like the fakest, weirdest. Like, is that supposed to be Pinocchio?
They look like vampires.
Kinda.
Yes. Jim Carrey has 2 friends that are essentially comic relief, but like every joke in the movie is horrible.
Right now, I'm as close to physical perfection as I'm gonna get.
That's depressing. Really depressing.
There are things that are funny that happen, but they're not really like jokes or whatever, right?
They're not really in service of anything. They're just like, oh, this would be funny. We could write this in, da 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 da.
Yeah.
The jokes are just like things that happen. Like I laughed at him handing them ice cream cones when he's leaving.
Yeah.
He's like, oh,
start your day with this.
It's the middle of the night.
Start your day off with a smile.
How sweet of you.
And they go,
what?
and like throw them or whatever.
What was racking my brain was there's a part I thought Bo Derek was the lead in this, and she's not.
Lauren Hutton, who I was like, who is that?
She was like a voice in a cartoon I watched, and
Yeah.
I think she was in she's in like one other thing as the something or other, I don't know.
And they hire you.
Yes.
The girlfriend, his actual girlfriend in the movie, she was in the. She
did a
was
few more horror
Veronica.
movies.
She was Veronica in the like Return to Riverdale, like the Archie movie.
Jughead.
Aw, honey. Veronica.
Hello, Archie.
Betty.
Archie. And Archie.
Yes. I would never watch that, so I didn't know that, but I saw that.
I like Archie a lot.
I saw that on her
Spoilers,
IMDb.
you heard that here.
I know you do.
That
I was gonna
movie
say, you
is
probably saw
not
it.
good, but it has people you're like, oh God,
Yeah.
those people were young at some point.
No, she was one that has a career that kind of like peters out.
Yeah.
As far as IMDb goes, she may be happily living her life, which is God bless. But in terms
That's
of
the
like,
only thing I think I know her from.
I think
at
there were a
all.
few more horror movie type things,
Okay.
like zany
So maybe I've seen her in
movies or
things
whatever.
that she didn't stand out or her look changed
She's
enough.
good. She
Yeah,
can
she's fine.
dance. She can talk.
That dance. So let's talk about that dance scene.
Just skip to
Jim
that, yeah.
Carrey is like the man can do faces and do things, but like
Yeah.
that translates to like movements of his body that are ridiculous.
He
There's
plays
a
his
part
leg
where-
like a guitar.
Yes,
it's
and
amazing.
and it comes up in such a ridiculous way. We're like, is
We're
that
like,
his leg?
Is that his leg? Does he have a huge cock?
There's a
What's
part
going
where
on
he
here?
moves his neck and his body like he is a snake.
Oh.
And he just like jukes into a thing.
Yeah.
Like some other things that he does that is like just I can't even think of the exact things. There are so many weird little movements, but I was like, oh, this is great. And like I understand you're trying to play off this like, oh, it's actually a fight that looks like dancing. This thing is happening,
Yeah.
and that doesn't work so much.
Listen. The rules of dance fighting apply, though. I think I agree. This is amazing.
It's great
for various reasons.
It's great because it's like, what the hell?
The song playing is called "Hands Off." He belongs to me.
And
Hands
it's
off.
the chorus for like 6
whatever.
minutes.
Yeah, it's
when
just
you're
like
like, is
solid.
this not over yet?
Yeah.
It's still there. Is
No,
this supposed to be being played by the band, or is this happening in?
There's
in
a
like,
guy
the
who's
thing?
like, loop it. I have 2 LPs of Hands Off. I'm just gonna keep playing the chorus and playing the chorus of Hands Off. Yeah, like I don't know if that's a real song. I don't know if Once Bitten's a real song. I assume they both are, and they're perfect, in this movie because
Once
they keep
Bitten
playing.
is probably made for the movie.
Yeah, you would think, right?
But that song is pretty catchy.
So we have the guitar leg. She, Robin is Robin.
She like strips off
she's
layers of her
taking
clothes
off
to keep getting a little bit more aggressive with it.
Exactly. She takes off
and at
clothing.
no point is anyone like, who is this old woman and why is she dancing?
That's the overtone of the whole thing. Is why is this 40 or 50-year-old, milfy babe, whatever, at the school dancing, dance fighting with Robin and Mark or Matt, whatever his name is. So it's just a stupid, yes. I love that scene, though, because the rules of dance fighting apply. She pulls out her, extendable cigarette holder knife thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And then Robin moves away from her, and then she retracts it. Then they're fighting, and Jim Carrey's in the middle, and his arms are pulled in different directions, and they all move in choreographed ways. It's I'm like, they're dance fighting.
No dance fighting. Stop.
And this is amazing.
Like that
it's
particular
wonderful.
part where his arms are crossed and they're like, I'm like, that didn't play for me. Certain parts didn't work. Other parts I was like, that worked so well, it didn't even matter.
It's not realistic or good, but I'm like, they're having a dance fight in the middle of this movie.
They're breakdance fighting.
Why would you do that? It's amazing.
But it's fun to have a fight in public and they're both sides seem to be trying to play it off as oh, we're still dancing.
Yeah.
And then certain movies it's like, oh, that's him reacting and that comes off as a dance, but it all still plays as I was laughing and watching it okay, this is goofy. Jim Carrey's face and body movements alone were enough to carry that scene for me.
And we
then
see
other
her
parts worked also.
controlling him,
Yes.
and he comes over to her, and then Robin grabs this whole thing.
Yeah.
It was a cool thing. I enjoyed this being in the movie. I'll say that much.
She bites off his buttons is a thing she does.
I mean, most people don't do things, and I think that I mean.
There's a part when he's leaving her house and she puts them in his hand, and I was like,
Sebastian
what the
does,
hell
yeah.
was that?
Later, blood.
And then like
I was like, did Sebastian just give him diamonds? What's
like
happening?
3 scenes later, I was like, those were his buttons.
Yeah. No, so like that's one of the other lines that I actually laughed at. Because Robin, like the next day, overhears. We're back on the plot. Robin overhears Jim Carrey talking to his friends about the whole thing. She's like right there.
Right there.
If you're so interested in my sexual failures, why don't you go out and have a few of your own? Robin, wait a second.
And she basically says, if I could find it, I want to get it exactly right, but I won't, apparently. Something about like you're willing to throw it all away for a slut that eats buttons? Or whatever. It's like, that's so perfect, or whatever.
I can't believe you're willing to throw away our relationship on a one-night stand with a chauffeur and a butler and a slut who eats buttons.
Because her biting off the buttons, was amazing, and then this callback to it there, I thought was great. You may have noticed when Robin comes out of the coffin at the end, she goes and like spits out a button or whatever. I'm like, that's code for boykin.
You're too late.
Maybe she sucked his blood from his femur. I don't know. What's going on
I
here?
love Robin's her name, right?
Robin is the girlfriend.
Robin says at one point, I think at the end of the dancing, it's like me because I'm like feminine and delicate. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And I was like,
he doesn't want to be with you because you're mean and like horrible and cruel and rude. He likes me because I'm pure and like chill and whatever. Now fuck off.
Mark doesn't want you because you're mean and evil. He wants me because I'm nice and sweet and pure. So fuck off.
And like leaves. No. That's like when they're at the.
That's back when like the PG
mansion
movies
at
could
the
have the good good curse words and
and
like there's a lot of weird stuff in this movie.
Listen, like if that's your one F-bomb, I think like
I think there were more than one.
There are, but like that would be the one F-bomb if we had
Yes.
to do it now, and
Yes.
that would have been like a perfect little capper there.
Sure.
Because Robin's like, I kind of like this from that angle. I don't think the Countess is like female empowered, but I think Robin's a great character because she's like take care of business. I like that.
Yeah.
They like
stand by your man.
They're all like being held there, and they reveal the weird like dentist chair where they're gonna like ritualistically.
That's more like a ladies. What do you call those? A
sex dungeon chair.
Gynecologist chair.
Oh dear, yeah, it's very weird, and that's where they're gonna do the final third suck of the evening right before midnight because we planned all this. It's gonna be great, and then they get away by just kind of like getting away. It's like a very quick, stupid thing, and then like they just have tiki torches, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
great.
if you're so afraid of fire, why would
are
you
you
have it
surrounded
all
by
in your
fire?
house? Yeah, it's everywhere. Candles and fucking torches and whatnot. That house has like a built-in cage door that trapped them in there while the friend held them off. And that's another thing where I'm like, they may only need his blood, but they can surely suck your blood.
They want you, not us. We'll hold them off.
Why did you think you were so safe? And then why do you flirt and then score with the vampires?
So, in my mind, two things. One, they even do the whole thing of like, well, the crosses don't work. Oh, fire does work though, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So like they are aware that they're not following all the rules like specifically. Yes, the two like female vampires get with these guys, and I'm like, is this a like prequel to like the Lost Boys? Is this how two other they're just gonna become vampires now, right?
What should we do now?
You can't like fuck a delicious steak all the time and never take a bite. Like they're obviously gonna become vampires. Is that not how this
That'll
works?
be on our next shirt. Get on the video. You can't fucking
my
delicious
face
steak all the time.
With my face on the front and Rich Evans' face on the back. It's perfect.
In a linear line, feeling fine one more time. We don't follow trends, we start them and break them. We're where we are today because of risks we take on.
It doesn't make any sense that wouldn't like happen as part of there, because what is the point of this? They just like drop Trow and it's like it's on and we never see those characters again, right?
No, I expected that to come back after the trailer, after the credits, but it doesn't.
I expected them to come out of coffins, pale with fake teeth and like you know Count Chocula like things, going like I told you we get late or some like dumb thing like we did it guys, we made it or whatever, some stupid like ending where they're happy now because they're vampires.
After the credits.
Yeah.
It's them outside the house. They couldn't go through it, and they're holding hands.
Oh,
and they are
or whatever. So we should talk about that, I guess.
Yeah, that was a very awkward shot.
That's
they're trying to see
product of its time,
yes.
extraordinaire.
They're trying to see if he has marks, an STD, but really bite marks on his inner thigh.
After the fake Indian explains there'll be 2 bite marks on the inner thigh or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you would then just look for a bite on the inside of the thigh, like this one.
That's Freudian.
He's
whatever.
German, or-
He's the Germans fighting and fucking fighting. They say, and hey, dudes, I thought you cared about him. You gotta go look at his inner thigh. You stare directly into his crotch. You shower with him, just get it done. They're like, okay, like we're the worst bumbling idiots ever, but I guess we can handle this.
Yeah, and they're just staring. And no, he hasn't noticed. No one notices, honestly, which is fine. And then eventually, completely naked, he bear hugs him.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's right there.
Yep.
And he's like, look at him! And the other guy happens to have soap in his eye.
in his eyes, which I was like, okay, that's okay. That's okay. Yes. But then you hear, should we even say the word?
The F word.
The F slur word. He says,
he's like, ah!
Oh, here we go. No, I've got it. This is perfect. He says, figs in the bathroom, fig alert, and like shouting this or whatever.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh no, what year is it? What are we doing or whatever?
Well, this is a different year. It's a different
totally
decade.
different.
Fags in the shower! Fags in the shower! Fag alert! Fag alert! Fags in the shower! Fag alert! Fag alert!
Yeah.
It's amazing though. A lot of things if you look back.
Yeah.
Especially comedies.
Big time.
Shit was,
Big time. Hugely.
It's so different. What is acceptable then versus now.
This is light, I think, compared to how stuff was.
This is very
during
light.
this 80s comedy.
Well, because this is a
era.
PG-13 movie. Like there's a lot of ridiculous. Our movies went crazy on some of this stuff. We're
Word.
and I'm kind of glad it's not a Jim Carrey movie.
Based on how light the whole movie is, though, I didn't expect to get into this sort of meatballsy territory.
Sure.
But it seemed I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this too. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I think this is it's worth watch for the things that are worth watching, and there's a lot that aren't. So you could watch this movie while you did something else. Maybe you could be on your phone playing a video game, look up occasionally, and totally get the gist of this movie. Because there's a lot of slow-moving middle bits here, but there are things where it's like, no, that's great. Like, how did he even become an ice cream man? How does he get an ice cream truck? That's like his car, his mode of transportation. And this is the time when ice cream trucks, you didn't get in the back. It just had a fridge door on the side, and you pull ice cream out.
It's like a pickup truck with a big fridge mounted on the back.
I'm like, that's
I know.
crazy.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
And is it just running all the time? Like,
yeah, this is a curiosity. I would say if loud music's playing, maybe except for the ending bit where they're running around through the house, just don't watch that part. Because whenever there's loud music playing,
nothing's really
it's
happening.
like, we're going to Hollywood, boys, and then it's like, how many
but
minutes
there are
of
some
this?
ridiculous things in that too. Like, just out of nowhere, there's a girl walking a lion down fucking Main Street, and you're like,
yes.
What is this supposed to be?
And there's there's a Lady Gaga looking person 30 years earlier.
This is like the original Beverly Hills Cop scene as he drives around Los Angeles, going like, "What is happening
What is
here?
this? What's this? What's this town all about?" I mentioned that he's Canadian. This is the movie where Howard Storm directed it, and he's like a TV guy. He directed like 6 episodes of this and 4 episodes of that, and he I didn't see too many other major features or whatever. Lost Boys came out 2 years later and did a lot of this stuff much better. We touched briefly, but his parents are doing this thing with him where they're like, "You okay, son? Are you on the dope?" And he's like, "No, I'm fine, Dad. I'm fine."
Now, you've been awful pale lately, and we know you haven't been sleeping because we can hear you pacing the house all night.
I'm fine. Really?
Really?
Yeah.
He's in a trunk and drinking blood.
And just chugging blood on the way out. That whole thing, that's stupid. Like, I'm going to drain the blood into a drinking glass and put it next to your orange juice and all that horrible business.
I thought he was going to mix the two together because it looked like when the butler gave him the orange juice, I'm like, that orange juice looks a little muddy.
Nice.
Like, that didn't look like straight up orange juice. It looked like it had a little bit of red in there.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, this is his thing. He's into bloody Chiquitas.
Bloody
I don't know what you call
bananas. Last note, this has an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Audience scores about double that due to nostalgia and Jim Carrey, I assume. But yeah, so just in case we were like, oh, we don't get it. People at the time loved it. It's like, no, this was on cable a lot. Kids remember it.
Yeah, I liked this movie. I went into this thinking, all right, we're watching a gem, boys.
No, and those dream sequences, which we'll leave that to you to go experience for yourself, I guess. But he's dressed like Count Chocula. He has the face makeup and his hair slicked back.
He's doing the cheekbone thing that only he can do. He has like magic powers with moving his face around.
He has rubbery faced powers. But that's the whole deal. Is there's moments here where you go like, what? And for those alone, it's worth it. It's not a long movie. It's 90 minutes, I think. Not
the
a
back
big
of the
deal.
box is him dressed up like Dracula himself.
Yeah, but like a cheesy fake cartoon, like SNL vampire, right?
Yeah.
It's not the Lost Boys like denim jacket with like scuffed and like blood coming down and like it's like punky, it's awesome. This is like goofy and comedy.
Yeah, I
and
think they even like make up his head because he doesn't have that widow's peak hairline. I think they add that in.
Yes. But he looks the part, like you said. It's got dumb, funny things, and I think in the greater context of how popular vampire stuff is and how many different iterations there have been, it's nice to go all the way back to the mid '80s and see what they were doing with it. You know,
mid '80s sex comedy with vampires. What else could you want?
Yeah, if you got some spare time on a Sunday.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
You could have. But you didn't have time to enjoy it.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinion.